Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a teapot with some flowers in it. It's going to be kind of a blue teapot this time. It's going to be part of our teapot series that we've been doing. We did a black teapot with some flowers a couple months ago, so I'm really looking forward to doing this one for you today. I'll be showing you start to finish how to do it on your own. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's been in chat today, so if you've got questions while I'm painting, you can ask those down in chat, and I'll try to answer. Let's get started. All right, welcome, guys. Ooh, my camera's a little tilted there. Let me see if I can fix that. There we go. Welcome. Glad to have you joining us today. I'm going to be using a 12 by 12 inch canvas today. This is not a Fredrix canvas. This is just one I had in stock. So I can't remember the brand of it, but anyhow, it's a gallery wrap, which just means that it has some clean sides. And this one is called splined, which means the rough edges are tucked into this little gasket type of thing that notches into the edge of the canvas. So if you kind of ever get the option, I prefer the splined ones myself, but anything gallery wrapped is going to be good because it'll have the staples on the back and not on the sides so you can just hang that up straight on your wall and not have to worry about framing it. All right, I've covered it with a coat of Quinacridone Magenta, very light coat. You can see it's kind of see-through, been blotchy. It doesn't really matter. We're going to be painting over it, but this will just give us a ground to kind of help us see our colors better as we add them. Also add a little bit of vibrancy underneath. You can totally leave that out, this step out, if you don't like to do an undercoat. That's totally up to you. You'll also need some chalk to draw out our teapot on here. And then as for brushes, I'm going to probably be using my longer handled 6100 series today, and just various sizes. I've got some Filberts for a lot of our flowers, and kind of a large flat bright 10 bright for the background, and then a couple of rounds for some of the smaller details. So I'll mention them as I use them. I also grabbed my 3/8 inch angle and 3/8 inch blender just in case I needed any smaller brushes there. So all right, and then I had a palette knife for some color mixing. I'm not sure if I'll need it or not, but I have it just in case. All right, let's go over our colors. I've got Carbon Black, Burnt Umber, Quinacridone. I'm sorry, no, I moved things around. So okay, let's start over. Take two. Come back in. Carbon Black, Burnt Umber, Dioxazine Purple, Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue Green shade, Cobalt Teal, Phthalo Green Yellow shade, and that is a fluid paint, Cadmium Yellow Light, Yellow Oxide, Indian Yellow Hue, Cadmium Orange, Quinacridone Magenta, Cadmium Red Light, and Quinacridone Burnt Orange, some Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, and this one is Zinc White with a little bit of my gloss glazing medium at the bottom here in case I need to do any glazes. All right, that should do us. Let's go ahead and sketch it. How are you doing today, hon?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Allergies are staying in check today.
Oh my gosh, I just had a sneezing attack. Just like, glad it didn't happen during the show because I must have sneezed about 20 times in a row in like the space of a minute. Mm-hmm. All right, so on this one, our shape is going to be kind of more rounded, a little taller than the black one. I should grab that one to show what the other one here. I'll show it here in a minute, the first one that we did in this series. But so I'm just going to kind of figure it out with my hands. I usually just use my hands to kind of figure out my spacing on my canvas, leaving enough room for my flowers up here. So I'm just going to kind of make a mark where I want my boundaries to be. So somewhere in here will be my vase or my teapot. It's over there. You walked right by it. Oh, this one. Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, so that was the first one in the series. So, question for chat. Should we do the background the same? Or should we do it different? I kind of want them to be, you know, of a series. So maybe we should do the background in the neutrals. I don't know. I'll let you guys decide. Chat it up.
Ooh.
Let me know.
Power to the people.
Power to the people. I'm fine either way. It's not going to hurt my feelings if we want to do blue.
Don't mind me, I'm gonna fix my mat over here.
Oh gosh, my mat gets messed up too. The mat under our chairs.
Alrighty, so early votes are similar, different, same. So 2 similars, 3 difference.
Okay.
In the comment that you could crack a rib sneezing like that.
Can you? Sounds like they know from experience. That sounds painful. Sorry.
Who was tied? 3 sames, 3 difference.
Uh-oh. All right.
Okay, so do half the painting the same and the other half different.
I guess I could do, I'm trying to think. All right, so just kind of trying to stick with the anatomy of the teapot. Obviously, your spout is going to be kind of right about where this handle comes out. They're going to be kind of opposite here, so I'm going to bring that one out just a little bit more. Like that. Looks good. And kind of a thin handle. This one, again, very badly photoshopped, so I apologize. You guys will be seeing more and more of my bad photoshopping skills in the coming months. It's just the way we're picking our...
But they'll get better as you keep practicing.
That's true.
Remember the advice you give everybody?
Right. Just keep doing it.
Just keep doing
it. Yeah. Just keep practicing. Nobody was good when they first started out. So, at anything. Rose, large peony. I'm going to make that a little bit larger so we have different sizes. So not everything is the same size. So make this one larger. Make a nice big daisy right here. And made up flowers. Okay. And I want these nice little notches happening. I think that'll do. I might take that out and do this one a little bit different here, coming down. Or maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But, all right, that'll get us a good starting point. Wow, that red is so vivid, you can almost not see anything. It's like glowing. Wah. I'm going to bring that down a little bit to cover the top of that teapot here, and we'll definitely bring some leaves down into the teapot too.
Looks like different is
the way to go. Okay, let's do different. Check. I can, and you know, if you want to do it the same, obviously there's the old video you can look and see. That was just kind of neutral browns and things in the background. So I think I'm going to change up my color scheme a little bit from the reference photo so that we have, I want my flowers to be kind of a reddish toned, reddish orange toned majority, or like the base color to be kind of like a little bit more reddish orange, and some of these brighter pops of red here that are in the photo. So I think that a blue-green, like a teal blue, instead of just a straight blue, is going to be kind of a direct complement of that and maybe be a little bit better. So I think I'm going to go with kind of, that's why I put out like cobalt teal. I also did one, this one doesn't have the bright turquoise, but I'm thinking like a color kind of closer to this, because this will look really nice with a orangey red color. They just play off each other really nicely. So that's the idea. That was our bonus video, by the way, so shameless plug for the bonus video there. That's our Patreon videos that we do. We do 2 paintings a month for patrons. the challenge painting is a month-long endeavor, and then the bonus video like that one is just a one-time painting that we basically spend an afternoon with each other painting to get it done. So, okay, so yeah, I think the Phthalo Blue and the Cobalt Teal together, that's going to make a nice... Cobalt Teal is basically Phthalo Blue and Phthalo Green plus white. It's, you know, if you don't have it, you can kind of mix it. So I think that that is going to be a nice... Look how pretty that is. Well, you got the... Thank you. Pretty that is against that background. And I think adding a little bit of white to it is going to help too. Yeah, there we go. So nice. I'm going to kind of go around my flowers very loosely and not worry too much about covering up all this red. I don't mind seeing a little bit in the background. This red is so pretty, the Quinacridone Magenta. Such a pretty undertone. It just sings. It's got so much vibrancy. Such a nice color to put underneath. Okay, so these flowers are going to be on top here. And our background is going to kind of end right about here. So I'll do a different color down below that line. Or a little darker. And using this flat brush here, I could use a Filbert if I wanted more rounded brush strokes. So it kind of just depends on what you want, you know, as far as if you want your brush strokes to show, and if you want kind of more rounded, softer looking brush strokes. I'm kind of not minding this brush here. And what you can do is kind of put your first coat on and let it dry, and then do a second coat, and that'll, you know, cover up a lot of these brush strokes. If you want a solid color, you're probably going to need to do it in 2 coats, because this one probably not going to cover all the way in 1 coat, unless you have a lot of white to it, which I have here. This white is covering up a lot better than that original Phthalo Blue. The Phthalo Blue is a transparent color, so if you just used it on its own, you would need to add white to it for sure to cover anything. Adding the Cobalt Teal, which has a little bit of white undertone, or has a little bit of white mixture in it, will help make the Phthalo Blue a little bit more opaque, and then adding, you know, even more white to it obviously is making it even more opaque. All right. We all know how that works. All right. I don't know why I'm explaining that. You add more of the opaque color, it's even more opaque. Check. All right, I like this. And I'm purposefully kind of doing areas a little bit darker than others just because I want a little bit of, you know, movement and color, different colors happening all in my background here. And the other one, I did these long brush strokes. I probably could do that to make it a little bit more similar. If we wanted to do that, we could just do them kind of longer, like streaking down. That's how we did the first one. It's probably not a bad idea to make them similar-ish, but not exactly the same. I can add a little bit of this unbleached titanium to it. Add some streaks. That's the way to do it. I think it's a good compromise. It's got a little bit of both. Okay, yeah, that works. I lost my teapot drawing here. I went over it. So excited about my brush strokes. Okay. The Unbleached Titanium has a little bit more of that yellowish undertone, so it'll kind of help make that phthalo blue a little more teal too, wherever you put it. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And when you're doing this, just make sure that your underlayer is dry before you try to put another layer on. If your underlayer is trying to dry or halfway dried and then you try to streak another color on, it'll just lift the first color that you put down and leave like weird blotches and spots and things and be kind of odd looking. It gets thick in places and does weird things, so we don't want that. Yeah, I like the kind of vertical thing too. It kind of helps the feeling of space. Let's go ahead and do this bottom area with a little bit of ultramarine blue in here with the phthalo blue maybe. We'll just do a little bit different blue with more of a royal blue color. This time I'm going to go side to side with it. Yeah, that'll be good. I think that works. And what you can do is use a ruler if you want to get this exactly straight. The line across here. Don't have mine handy. I'm not sure why I put it way up here over in the corner where I can't reach it. Using a straight ruler with a T-square. You can just go right up against it and get a nice straight line. There we go.
So what are those number things on your T-square? What is their function?
I'll eventually use them. Okay. There we go. Yeah. I like that color combination. That looks nice. I'm going to kind of mix these two colors together and just kind of use that along that line and smudge it out a little bit. And just smudge out that after I use the ruler to get it just right. This looks a little bit better. I find to have a little bit more smudgy line there than like a solid straight line. It's a little softer looking. Looks a little nicer. Again, totally my opinion. You do you. It's totally up to you. This is just my interpretation of this painting. There's so many ways of doing it that would look good. So try not to get caught up in the idea that there's only one way of doing art and it's my way, you know, kind of thing. There's so many different ways of doing things. I always like cringe a little bit when I see like, you know, the little thumbnails that say, you know, show a certain kind of painting technique with an X through it and then the, you know, right way with a little check mark. And I'm like, who says the other one isn't good? You know, I mean, like, that one looks okay. It's not bad. It's just different, you know? So, I don't know. But if you've got a goal in mind of a certain style, then yes, you do want to, you know, compare yourself and try to get better technically, you know. But I say whenever, if you're happy, then that's all that matters. So, all right. I'm going to start with a Filbert brush here. This is a 4 Filbert. And I think I'm going to do some greenery in here. Kind of just some backdrop to where my flowers are going to go. And I'm going to add the purple to it. It's like a weird combination, but it makes this beautiful, deep, rich green. You add it to that the phthalo green yellow shade that has a little bit of a yellow undertone, and that purple, it makes a beautiful neutral dark, like almost black. Look how black that is. So if I want to add a little bit more white to it, I can see the color, but I do want it pretty dark in some places around my flowers. So I'm just going to kind of, I very, very, very loosely paint and just sketched in where my flowers are going to go. I'm going to kind of just go around them with a little bit of this, add a little darkness. This will just help us when we do our flowers to have kind of a base around them. And we can put some dabs around the outside, kind of like leaves coming out. Nice. Get that really dark color here. I say using that fluid acrylic really does help kind of give me a good, like, it makes it a little easier. The paint's already kind of mixed with water. It's more fluid, you know, it just goes on a little bit smoother. I did the dog, colorful dog with all fluid acrylics, and it went really fast. It's like I remember why I liked using them. I used to use craft acrylics all the time, which were the more fluid, you know, fluid acrylics. All right, so that looks good. Just kind of adding different values, a little bit dark, and especially the dark right like in the deepest part of my vase where all the flowers are going to be meeting up and there's no light getting down in there. All right, looks good. Let's go ahead and do our vase. So, no, I think I want my angle brush for my vase because I want to get some straight lines here on the spout in different areas. So I'm going to go ahead and get my brush here. I want my background to be dry-ish though before I do this, and I want my background to be done. So if you need a second coat, do it now before you do this step. I do see an area in here that I kind of think I'd like a little bit more paint. There we go. And maybe like right in here. Okay. How you doing, hon?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm dwelling on the
Check.
yeah, on the tip that you gave us earlier.
About?
That you always want to have your underlayers dry.
Yes.
And that is so true in life. So thank you.
Thank you for that life tip.
Yes. You can apply it everywhere.
You're learning something new every day.
It's life-changing.
Life-changing. Always have your underlayers dry.
That's right.
Check. Avoids all number of problems. All manner of problems solved here.
It's amazing that you're teaching painting over there and I'm living in a whole other world.
No comment. All right, so I'm going to make a grayish blue. I think I wanted a little bit more on the blue side since we've got blue on the background. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's a tip. Pay attention. If you're painting white, use the colors around your white. So whatever colors it's setting on next to, around it, that's the color that you're going to use in your white to shadow and make your other colors. White's never just white, and it acts like a mirror. It picks up the other colors around it. So we're going to use the background color to mix into this gray that I wanted to use for my darker areas on my white. This will be our darker side. Our highlights kind of hitting right in here, so we'll call this our highlight side. So I'm going to fill in my white areas with this. We're going to have the blue stripies and things showing, but I do want to start with a grayish color to have kind of a darker, whoops, I went that far over, didn't mean to do that. And that's why you want your underlayers dry too. I could have, instead of painting over it like I'm doing here, I could have just wiped it off, but I'm going to use my blues, and I'm going to bring that blues up into the vase at the bottom here a little bit more, just like really darken up that area a little bit more. Here's my handle. Okay. I added burnt umber to gray out my white. That'll keep it from looking like light blue, you know. It'll make it more white looking to have it kind of a gray tone. Don't want it to be like a light blue vase. I want it to be a white vase or teapot. You know what I'm saying.
Most of the time, yes.
Listen to what I'm... Listen to my meaning, not what I'm saying. Okay, so over here, gotten a little bit more white. I've picked up a little bit more white here, and and I'm also putting this on in the direction I'm seeing those stripes in the direction that the highlights are going to happen on my rounded shape here. So they're going to kind of follow the shape. So my shadows and my highlights are going to be bent by the shape of the teapot. And it gives more of the white, and using the tip of the brush, I'm just going to draw in my handle here. And a lot of times they're a little thicker where they meet the, where the ceramic is attached, or the porcelain and pottery, whatever, is attached itself to the teapot. There'll be like a little bit of wide spot there. And I want the bottom to be slightly flat, so I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to get my, well, no, I don't want my zinc white yet. I'm going to get my white. I'm going to go back over this and add my white areas kind of right in this belly of it, right in the middle section where I want the brightest area to be. And stop about right here. Okay. It didn't go on very smoothly because my background was still a little bit sticky and it was grabbing it, but it's close enough. I can do a little bit like a slightly lighter version, like right in here. So like add a little bit of the white but not as bright as over here. Okay, that looks good. Let's do a little bit brighter right here along this edge of the teapot handle. Kind of right in the middle. And let's go ahead and darken it up where it goes under the flowers there. With a little bit of like brown and greens, because that's what's right there. Right, so whatever is around the white, that's what the color is going to be in my shadow. So I'm going to kind of use this brownish green right around this area where the shadows are falling on the teapot. Okay, so it's good. And this would be, if we wanted to just do it white, this is how I would do it. But of course we're going to put some blue stripes in it. The spout is blue, and I'm going to do like a bright ultramarine blue for the spout. And part of it is gold here at the tip, so I'm going to kind of start the bottom part of it. Ultramarine blue is transparent, so you can see it's not covering this red up very much. So I'm going to have to add a little white to it. Now it'll show up. I don't love that it's disappearing right here, so we'll have to do something about that when we get going. We'll have to either make it lighter or make the background darker or something. We'll have to add some contrast here to make it show up better, but so far looking all right. Sorry. Those are the joys of live streaming. I'm gonna switch over to a 2 round here and get some of my yellow oxide, which is as close to the gold undertones as you can get pretty much without using actual gold. And our teapot does have like gold accents on the handle and stuff too, so I'll use a little bit of this gold here and a little bit of it right here where it kind of attaches. There's some gold, and then right here, and this red is a great undertone for gold, so that Phthalo, Quinacridone Magenta, is perfect for it. What do we get?
Looks like more art supplies.
Ooh,
from
really?
J. Jill. I didn't know they sold art supplies.
It's so weird. Quinacridone Magenta and Quinacridone Burnt Orange here. I'll use that right here. You fooled
Changing
me.
subject? real quick?
Nope. Yep, just colors. Look over here.
When your online shopping shows up on the weekend and your husband's home.
So inconvenient. I hate when that happens. Looks like what was that comedian? Looks like I was sad on Saturday. I got some new coasters in the mail today. Uh-oh, look at that happened. Wow. Did that just happen, or was that... This must still be a little bit wet. So I can do two things. I can either paint over that, or I can... That's just water fell on that and lifted that right off. I'm just going to put a leaf over it. I'll just we'll wait. Fix it later. That's weird that it's still not dry. That it would wipe it off like that. Very odd. Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of burnt umber too in this quinacridone burnt orange. You could use burnt sienna if you don't have quinacridone burnt orange. You don't have to have all the same colors that I'm using. Just kind of use whatever is closest that you have. There we go. Just a little bit of that burnt orange for a nice dark undertone, and there's a little bit of a... I know there's a little bit of it right there, but I'm not really sure where it's coming from, so I'm not going to put it on there. Okay, so as far as my stripies go, and I want to be sure that my white is dry before I start my stripes. I think I'm going to use a little bit of both of these blues, a little bit of the Ultramarine Blue and the Phthalo Blue. So I'm going to kind of start sort of in the middle-ish and just sort of go almost straight up. Curve it a little bit. What are you laughing at?
Cashmere. She's trying to find a way up, and I keep moving to block her way, and she keeps bopping back and forth and looking over.
That being mean.
Mm-hmm.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do 4, 1. I'm going to start it up here where I can 2, 3, 4, 3. Okay. Somewhere like that. That looks good. Alright, so this one is going to go real close to the edge. Just skirt that edge and then fall off right around this underside of it, right there somewhere. And the next one is going to be right in here. Do the same. Be a little closer, okay, and then this one. Not being super careful and clean about these lines because there's a lot of bleeding that I'm seeing between the colors. Like the lines aren't completely straight like I have it here. I'm going to kind of bleed out the color a little bit, soften up the edge, bleed it into the white just slightly. Okay. There we go. They're getting a little bit narrower as they come down, a little bit thicker in the middle. And then this side has also got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4, and one along the edge. So one here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this one's closer to the edge here. curve it around. And again, kind of end it before the bottom. One, two, gosh, I gotta fit 3 more. Yes, I do. Okay. Yeah, okay. Just making sure here. Talking to myself. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah, they fit. Surprisingly. Probably should have pushed that one a little farther over.
There's a couple that are really close to each other.
Yeah, the painting, yeah. Okay, that looks good. I like it, and I like that it's soft, so make sure you do that when you put yours in. Just kind of sketch it with the edge of the brush instead of the straight edge. Like instead of going straight down, I'm kind of using the edge of the brush and brushing it on kind of sketchy like. And that gives it like a little softer broken edge there. Makes it look a little bit better, I think. And then got to do the same thing for my stripes this way, except for the middle are coming up. So every other is coming up towards us. So our lines are going in and out. So they're going in and out like this. It's really obvious at the bottom, so we can start there. You can see what I'm talking about. So let's say this one is up towards us, so this line is coming out, and this one is going away from us. And then this one is coming out, and this one's going away from us. So it's like a zigzag line almost. Not too obvious, though. It's not super, like, exaggerated. It's just slightly rounded, and in those areas looks like, so...
So when they did the glaze, did they do the stripes from top to bottom and then bottom to top to get that alternating?
It could be a transfer that they placed on it. That's probably what it is, I'm guessing. A lot of times with these kind of, mass produced porcelains, they're not hand painted, but I don't know. Sorry if you're a aficionado and you're like, oh, that's the Royal Dalton XYZ. Sorry, I don't know how they did it, but
I like the dramatic voice though.
I know. Well, that's how I read them. The experts always sound like this when they're telling me about how I got it wrong.
So I wonder when people are explaining to other people what you said in the video, if they're saying in that same tone.
They may. It's fine. I get it. Probably have that tone too when I'm in my expert mode.
She said, well, the opaques are more opaque when you put opaque in it.
Could be. Never said I was perfect. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the first one is 1, and then 8. So we'll just split it. This is the first one, so we'll split the difference right here, and do 2 here and 2 here. So that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope, did that wrong. So there's going to be 1. Let's do that again. 8. Oh yeah, 4 and 4. So split the middle. Okay, so let's. Yeah. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So take the middle and kind of split it and go on either side. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me get those a little closer together. Move these all down a little bit. Okay. So somewhere in here, and I'm going to kind of darken up the middle part of my lines here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, still not doing it right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we go. So in out, in out. Just a little bit more towards me and then by the time we get to the middle part, it's kind of more straight. So these ones are going to be, whoops, wrong way. These ones are going to be more straight. And then at the top, they're going to start going up. So these ones will start going up a little bit. You get the middle one and it'll be kind of straight, and then the top ones are going to be going away from us. And so they're gonna, instead of going down, they're gonna be going up. I totally got my stripies off somewhere, but that's okay. But that gets in. That's the idea at least. All right, so that gives me a starting point. What'd you say?
They're your stripies, so they can be however you want them to be.
You know, you're right. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome. There's no wrong stripey.
That's true. Maybe I can stripe it if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I can stripe
leave
how I want to.
Leave your friends behind. Because your friends don't stripe.
Yeah.
And if they don't stripe, well.
I was ignoring you, but that's okay.
That's fine. Like I said, I'm in my own little world over here.
Finish your own little joke. She's like, she obviously didn't get that.
She's not playing along. I understand. I wouldn't either.
It looks funky now, but I think once we get all these on here, it'll make sense.
I'm trying to see cashmere, not trying to touch you.
These ones are hiding.
So we're building a database for all of the paintings in preparation for the new website, which is getting very close.
Very close. I'm so excited. Yay.
And right now I have logged all the videos except for the 2018 to 2019 Patreon videos that were on YouTube. Those still have to be done. So currently, without those, you're at 629
Holy moly.
videos.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and there's at least a dozen of those probably. Maybe.
Yeah.
At least maybe 8 to 10. So,
Yep.
wow. We've done a few videos. Holy moly. I didn't know that there was that many. I really have lost count completely. Okay. I kind of wanted this line to be a curve too, so I kind of wish I'm going to bring that up a little bit. Just a little bit right there. And honestly, these are messy, and that's okay. I made them kind of messy in my reference photo. Like I used a filter that kind of smoothed out and blurred the edges. So I honestly don't even have a photo that is clean of this. I don't even know what it would look like if it was not blurry, you know. I don't even have it in front of me. So we're just going to paint it as it is in the reference and leave it kind of blurry and a little bit messy. And I think it works. It's fine. And we did that kind of a style on the last Teapot too. We kind of weren't trying to be completely perfect about it. So I want to, though, just kind of be mindful, especially up in here. I'm gonna make sure that my lines curve up, and then this next line, just make sure that it kind of goes upward. Yeah, that's better. And then yeah, but yeah, this side looks good. I'm pretty happy with this. I think it's doing okay. It's all right. Kind of straight-ish. Even on the straight areas, I want to curve it up just a little bit on this edge right here. This edge is trying to do a little bit better than I did this side. I didn't really pay attention as I should have to the curve of the vase. So I can bring this down a little bit. And I can always go back in with my white too. I mean, it's not like set in stone. I can go ahead and touch up here and push some of this up if I want, you know, to move these around. So it's not like I have to keep my blue exactly how I've painted it right here. You know, I can kind of touch up around. I don't want to do a lot of that though. That can get kind of fussy, but it can help, and it also, we can help to kind of blur some of the edges by going back over some of them with a little bit of white too. And to have a little highlights, you know, picking up some of the light. We're going to highlight the whole thing when we're done with some zinc white. I need to spray all this to keep it wet. And yeah, it doesn't look like much while you're painting. Like if you looked at it closely, you're like, that's really sloppy. But you kind of, to get that looser look, you kind of have to be a little bit sloppy about it. It's just kind of how it has to be painted. So I would say just kind of have a looser grip on your brush and let it be a little, if you want this kind of looser style, you may want it a little bit more precise, and if you do, then, you know, do it that way. I won't know. All right, I'm gonna get some light blue here. I'm just gonna kind of highlight along here with my light blue. Wipe that off, get some of the darker color, kind of just come around it and smush it out a little bit.
Should we do egg cam?
A what?
Egg cam.
What's egg cam? Oh yeah. Do you have it set up? You'd have to go out there.
Well, I can do it.
Oh, you're gonna go poor mama bird. You're gonna go disturb the mama bird.
Oh, she's fine. She'll get over it.
Okay. All right, getting some white here. Just gonna start adding some highlights to pull out my color here, and I'm gonna get my Quinacridone, or sorry, my Dioxazine Purple with my Ultramarine Blue here. And go along the edge and help separate out that teapot handle there. Oh, egg babies. Oh, they're still incubating. Those are house finches. They have made the mistake of nesting in our front door. So every time I have to get a package or enter the door or anything.
Good shot?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it looked good. She gets run off her nest. A lesser bird would have given up, but no, they are determined little guys. And the daddy sits on the porch on the chair right next to her and waits. It's so cute. She's sitting on the nest and he's just waiting right next to her. Porch right under her feet. Right under her, the door. All right, so going back in now with this darker purple color, this is definitely gonna work for our background. You can see it. If you want even more contrast, you can make your background either darker or lighter, just, give it some more contrast. But I think that this is gonna be enough for us to be able to see that, yes, it's a different color. I'm gonna go ahead and use it underneath my teapot here. Give it a nice dark glaze on the table, and then just wipe my brush out and use that damp brush to push that paint around, just kind of catch that leading edge of wet paint there, and just pull it down, smush it around. You can use your finger for this too if you want. Some people just kind of use their finger across it like this and push it around that way. Kind of need a little bit of water though to get it to move, but that'll work. You can use some black too. I might even do that a little bit darker. It might not be dark enough, but yeah. No, it's hard to know. I looked it up and it said 14 days is about the normal. So we're getting pretty close, I think. 'Cause I think it's been another
week, maybe.
Probably by next weekend we'll for sure have babies. We'll have baby cam. Be cute, little baby birds. As long as the blue jays don't get them. I'm not going to say that. That we had the very first time we had this happen was like years ago at our other house, and we're like, oh, it's so cute, and we were watching them, and then one day the blue jays came through and ate all of the babies. So we're like, yeah, that was not fun. That's when I stopped liking blue jays so much. Like, dudes, I guess they gotta eat too, but no. So I'm kind of targeting the middle of my lines, and what that does kind of soften up the whole thing, give it that kind of fuzzy glow. It makes just kind of darkens up the center of my line, and then the outer borders are already kind of fuzzy, so just kind of gives a really cool look to the whole thing. I like it. All right, so this is by far going to be the most tedious part of this process. And again, if you want to avoid having to do these stripes, you can just do plain color on your vase or your teapot. Calling it a vase. Could have gone either way. It could have been shoes.
The mail lady brought 2 more packages.
What?
Funny
Why
that
does this always happen on the weekends when you're here?
You should mention shoes. That's funny.
I get my shoes, sandals at the beginning of the year. So what happened last year was I ordered a bunch of sandals, and then the first time I wore them, I realized they weren't going to work. But I'd already worn them, so I couldn't return them anymore. So I have a bunch of sandals from last year. I literally bought 6 pair maybe, and then wore maybe 3 still, because the other ones didn't work. I was very disappointed. So I'm looking for another pair that I can walk in to walk the dog, but no luck so far. All right. So I order a bunch. It looks like I'm ordering a bunch, but I'm actually returning most of them. I'm just trying them on instead of going down to the store because they don't carry the ones that I want in the store. So it's the joys of living in a small town. Just shop for everything online. It's fine. I'm used to it. We moved here from Phoenix, though, so it was a little hard to get used at first. You could literally run down the corner and get pretty much anything you wanted. All right, so that looks good. A little bit of a warmer, like a blue glow at the bottom of my area there. And then so to finish off these areas, I'm going to get I need to make sure that this is dry, which it is. I'm going to get my Zinc White, and I'm going to lay it on fairly thick. And pick a spot here and kind of just go across with that and go on my blue area and my white area. So it'll be a little transparent on my blue area, but it'll really pick up the light on my white area. I'm going to kind of go across here, like maybe it's picking up the light from the handle, a little bit here. I've already got a little bit on here. I'm going to go ahead and kind of streak down that a little bit. One more time. And then I'm going to get my bright white too and just go in here and pick a spot on here and just kind of do a little bright white. There we go. Okay.
I want to zoom in just over there. Because you can see the paint stripes
right
there. But then when you zoom out, I mean, it just looks like...
Yeah, it looks like shine. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm. Like you said, what your eye does.
Yeah, your eye fills in the rest for you. It's pretty cool. Softening that up just a little bit. Okay, I like it. I don't think I need to do much more than that. I might do a little bit down here. I see a little bit of a shine right here where maybe it's sticking out right there. Okay. And those little areas that are poking out, This area is sticking out, this area is sticking out, this area is sticking out, this area. But these are kind of falling away from us, so. I'm not sure. I'm going to take a little bit of that off.
Okay, I'm not sure what I think of some of your fans in chat, because they seem like they're enablers.
Why? What they're saying?
They've asked if you've tried Vionic shoes.
I do. Yes, Vionic are one of the brands that I ordered.
Oh, wow.
Vionic, Keens, which I want to have one that has a back on it. I do have a pair. I think I have I have a pair of Tiva from last summer that are okay. They just kind of a little scratchy on my heel. Tiva are my long time. That's what I'm wearing now. My long time Favorite sandal of all time. The Moosh. I wear those all the time.
If this is your first time watching, welcome to the art channel. Shoe chat.
All right. Going back to painting.
No, it's great. I love it. It's usually food, but we'll go with shoes this time. That's fine.
I'm going to get some Indian Yellow Hue in my white. And I'm going to highlight my spout here. Maybe a little, I just want to make sure it's kind of a light gold color. So I've already got my dark area in here. So all I have to do now is just kind of give it a little shine where it's sticking out. Good. Okay, that's good. It's about all I'm going to do on the teapot, I think, and that's enough. And you can see how just, I don't know, it's very messy. Like, it's not painted super clean. My lines are not straight. But if you get it close enough to right, and it's not too far off, and you kind of do it on purpose on the whole thing, I don't know, it works. I don't know why, but it does. So I like that look. If you don't, you can clean it up and make it, more precise, but I like it. It just makes it look a little softer, like it's slightly off focus or out of focus, slightly blended. That's why I do it that way. So again, and it also looks a little bit more oil painted. That's kind of an oil paint look, where it's kind of everything's a little softly blended. So I don't know. I just like it, but
it looks
up to you. However you guys want to do it. All right. So now let's do our flowers and we'll be done. That was an hour just doing that teapot, but that's fine. Yeah. I think it was worth it. It needed the attention.
Yes, it came out fantastic.
Thank you, honey.
I think you did your garden walkthrough this last week.
I did.
And it's on the Facebook group, right?
Mm-hmm. In my Thankful Art group.
In the Thankful Art group.
Yep.
So I think we need to do a shoe unboxing.
Oh.
Spring enough. We might as well. I mean, since you got so many people in your corner on this, so let's do it.
I probably should. That would be funny. I did buy a bunch of Matisse paints. I showed one of them earlier. I bought a bunch of fluid paints because they had colors that Golden doesn't have in their fluid acrylics, like the cadmium. They have the poison, it says on the label. They have the poison brand. Cadmium Yellow Light and Cadmium Orange in the Matisse. I almost did an unboxing of those because I was like, oh. Yeah. But I love, it's just like,
cadmium's not good for you.
Poison. Don't drink it. Wasn't planning on it, but okay. Okay, I can't get that in there. All righty. Let's see. So I'm going to switch to my 3/8" angle brush here to do my flowers. And I've already got a nice dark center for some of these, so I'm not going to have to do a whole lot on there. I'm going to add a little bit of the Cadmium Red Light to my Quinacridone Magenta, which is my base color here, just to make it a little bit more of a brighter red. And yeah, I'm going to use that kind of to just kind of start to outline some of these petals here, my roses. And when I'm painting roses, and let's go ahead and use the Quinacridone or the Unbleached Titanium. That'll have that softer, it'll be softer, a little bit more peachy color that we'll get out of it than using the white. Okay, so when I'm doing the roses, go ahead and zoom in on this, and I'll do it a little slow because I tend to kind of just jump through and jump in and do it. All right, so I've got my paint. You can see how my brush is loaded. It's got lots of the dark color on there, and I've loaded the light color on the tip. And the reason I do that is because if I push down hard, I'll get the darker color on there. And so I'll have like a little bit of both colors on here to work with. I'm gonna water that down just a little bit and pick up just a little bit more of that lighter color just on the very, very tip of the brush. So I've got like a little bit of the really bright color on there, and I'm gonna brush that out just slightly so that it's slightly blended. All right, so that's what I'm working with, and I'm gonna start in with my tip, face down, and I'm going to draw like a little curly Q around the center of it, like that. Like a little C, and then a line, it's another line. I'm going to kind of box in the center here with these little brush strokes that kind of do a concentric circles almost. And then as I come out, I'm going to press down a little harder and get a little wider brush strokes here and there. And then I'm going to look for a spot like this where I've got two petals that are meeting, and I'm going to bridge that gap. So I'm going to go around it like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to kind of round it like that. And then right here, try to fit it in. And I usually do this fairly quickly because I've done enough of them that it kind of comes, I find that it goes a little bit better if I just kind of don't overthink it too much. But like here, these two are meeting, so I'm going to do another one here. I'm going to really press down this time and push out a little bit, and then pull it. Press down, pull out. Press down, out, down, out. Okay, that's it. That's it. And I may do one more right here, just kind of finish that off right there. And that's about it. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do on those. I might come back in and add some highlights, but that's going to be it. Okay, so let's do another one, get a little bit more of the darker color on the back of my brush and the lighter color on the tip. And we'll do this one up here. So same way, kind of little small marks kind of going around in the circle there, and then trying to find those parts where the two petals meet. And roses can be kind of angular depending on the kind of rose, but these roses have that kind of angle as the petals unfold. The tips of the petals make kind of a point, and so those points, those parts at the apex of the petal, I want to kind of come out a little bit onto a point, angle it out a little bit, and have a little V shape there. Okay, there we go.
If people could see the behind the scenes of that side camera action there.
What?
Said if people could only see the side camera behind the scenes. I'm standing like right up next to Angela, almost bumping into her, holding the phone by hand. That's why it's a little bit jittery. And she's just painting like a boss, like nothing's happening. It's just, I don't know how you do it. I mean, there's like a circus going on right next to you, and you're just like,
focus.
Yes, this is how you paint the rose.
Focus.
And you just do this. Yeah.
Focus. I'm painting flowers. I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm all in. Okay, so I'm going to do the peony very similar. This petal, these flowers have bigger petals, a little bit more open style that kind of come in. Poppies are very similar to the peony in the way their petals kind of lay and stuff. So, and I'm not even actually hating that dark that's right there. I'm going to get a little bit of maybe a little Quinacridone burnt orange, a little bit more of a reddish orange, and just kind of try to go in here. And if I can't get a color that covers, let's get a little Quinacridone. There we go. Okay. So there's a little bit of Quinacridone burnt orange and cadmium orange mixed in, and I'm going to have to let that set. So that'll be my size. I wanted it a little bit bigger than my roses, so my roses are a little step down in size. And then let me go ahead and use this brush for my daisies. So this is a 2 round, and I'm going to get my cadmium yellow light and my white. I've got to have white with yellow. It just won't show up if you don't have some white in there somewhere. It's your lightest color in value. Somebody was asking about values with colors. Values is your light and dark. So this is your value scale here, light and dark. So your values, some colors just naturally fall under darker or lighter. Just in their pure tone, they're going to be darker or lighter. So your purples, dark blues, phthalo green or phthalo blue, phthalo green, those are all going to fall in the darker side, right? They're going to be in here somewhere. And then as you get to your reds, they're going to kind of be in your mid-tones, mid to dark, like in here somewhere, you know. And then as you get to oranges and yellow, as you get closer to yellow, yellow is going to be your lightest in value. You're going to be right in here, just in your very pure, you know, purest state of the color. Your orange is somewhere in here, and your reds are going to be, you know, falling kind of in the middle, depending on the tone. The quinacridones are darker, you know, base tone kind of than the reds. But anyhow, so the lighter value colors, obviously, going to pick up the light more. They're going to look, depending on if they're mixed, like the cadmium or the Cobalt Teal has white mixed into it, so it made it a lighter value than it would have been without the white added. So it's been altered to be a lighter value color, but its base tone without white would be a darker because it's mixed with these two darker colors. So the yellow just is going to need, a lot of times the yellow, the lighter color can be not necessarily less opaque, but just harder. You know, the darker colors are just going to kind of bleed through them, even if they're opaque. So like it's happening here, that darker color is bleeding through my lighter reddish tones. So even though I'm putting opaque colors on top, it's still not enough white in there. So if you need a color to cover, add white. That was that whole point. Sorry, it took me a while to get there, but that was the point I was trying to make. Add white, period, the end.
Gotcha.
All right, center of the flower is going to be right in here. So I want my petals to come out. I'm going to really squish down here and pull to get my little petals of yellow. And it's okay if this is not as dark as I want it to be eventually. I'm going to add a little bit of gold to it, but eventually I'm going to want a little bit more of a goldish yellow here. But I'm going to start with this color, and it's picking up a little bit of that. That's okay. I don't hate it. Go right on top of my rose here. Here we go. Okay. All right. And then in the center, I'm going to get some Quinacridone Orange. Add that to my yellow and just kind of find my center. Dab that in. And then your cosmos are going to be similar. I'm going to go ahead and use the same color as my peony that's got a little bit of that quinacridone burnt, or quinacridone magenta and cadmium red light. I think it even had a little bit of the orange in it. I'm going to use it to do these cosmos over here that are overlapping my handle. So there's doot doot doot. They're like a daisy with pink petals. I'm gonna get some white here and then go back over these with white while they're wet. Just try to blend in a little bit of, gonna kill two birds with one stone. All right, there we go. And then do another one right in here. Somewhere, see one right here. Kind of coming down right here. But not really open. Maybe a little, there we go. Alright, then let's get the Cadmium Red Light and mostly Cadmium Red Light here, and I'm going to kind of do my reddish. I'm going to have to add white to it. I'm going to grab some orange here. It's just not covering. There we go. I did too much of the green in the way. Okay, fuzzy orange red. There we go. Going back to my brush here, I'm going to get some of the Quinacridone and Purple. I'm sorry, the Ultramarine Blue and Dioxazine Purple. My goodness. My mouth. I get to this point in the painting and my brain is like fully in art engaged mode. It just doesn't coat. The words are stored in a totally different part of my brain, and it's just not, they don't overlap very well. Let me get some Quinacridone Magenta and add a little bit of that, a little bit of white to make it a more opaque color. And I'm going to kind of use that in here and just going to add some little bits of that in and around my flowers. That'll tie in my blue from down here, but it'll also kind of really look nice against the reds and things that I have going on. Okay. And then I think I want a light delphinium that's similar to the ones that I did in my fox video. In fact, I think I used the same photoshopped the same Photoshop photo in with this one that I did with the fox. So they've got similar. The boho fox got similar delphiniums. So getting the color similar to our background actually. Phthalo blue and white. And I'm going to just kind of find some spots in here to kind of start my delphiniums. Bring them out. And I'm going to cover this up, so I'm just going to go ahead and put one in here. And to do them, I'm kind of just overlapping like 3 or 4 brush strokes. The open flowers at the base kind of create these little tiny clustered flowers, but then as they move up the stem, they're just opening, they're just kind of like little buds. There's not a whole lot to them, so you don't have to have all that much detail with these for your eye to kind of interpret them. And something like that. Let's go ahead and put a few in the middle too. Now that I'm thinking about it, I need a few of this color kind of just in some places in the middle to, yeah, fill in those gaps. Okay. Doing good. And then we've got some, I'm going to make some yellow green leaves. Get some of the cadmium yellow light and my phthalo green, and I'm going to do some leaves that are kind of overlapping things in here. And if they don't show up against that background, just add some white to it. The delphiniums should have some of this color in and around them, and the ones that are not open yet at the tips will have like these little green buds. So you can add those along the edges and around them. Let's go ahead and bring a couple leaves down here. I'm going to get a little bit darker color. See if I can get some of that purple. A little bit darker. I don't love that. Yeah, I'm not happy with that. Let me see if I can get it off. I don't like the color that I mixed there. Okay. As long as I can get it off my blue vase. There we go.
So what are you adding there?
I'm adding phthalo blue to the phthalo green. We use that instead. Oh, that purple didn't look right. There we go. Okay. It's a little darker. You can see it against it. It's not looking so smoky. All right. Now I have to fix my flower there that I kind of destroyed. Get some of that yellow with the white. Put my petals back in here. Get a little bit of yellow oxide here to keep them from turning green. There we go. Okay, and then let's put some yellow up in some of these other areas here. I'm just going to peek them out like they're not quite filling. Or let's do a full one here, maybe. Okay. Quinacridone center. Let's get some yellow for the centers of these ones. Just dabbing it in, just that, mixing some yellow on my brush. It's not pure yellow, it's just got a little bit of the oranges in there. Let's go ahead and put that over the top of these centers too, the yellow flowers. All right, that looks pretty good. Starting to come together. Almost there. Let's go ahead and put in our, I'm going to switch to this Filbert here. I'm going to put in the, I'm going to get all these brushes wet that are sitting off to the side here. I don't want them to dry out. Huh? The 4 Filbert. And I'm going to, this is 90% dry. I still see some thick parts in here that I'll have to avoid, but should be able to get a few brush strokes in here. So I'm going to get my...
That's a Filbert I would have gone with too.
Unbleached Titanium. You just kind of tested me to see if I was using the same one.
Yeah, just see if you were skilled.
Like,
I would have made fun of you if you went with the number 2.
Mm-hmm. Rookie. I'm using kind of a medium tone to kind of transition there between the light areas. All right. And then these petals are just the tips of them kind of showing and just a little bit coming in. So just like run the edge of the brush. Okay, that's good. Get a little bit of white and pull up from the center here. There's a little bit of the light hitting the inside of the petal there. And that's maybe a little bit softer. Get a little more of the kind of middle tone value there. Okay, I like it. Then let's get my yellow. I'm just going to grab it on the tip here and dab my yellow around in a circle here, leaving a little bit of that darker red in the middle. And then I'm going to get some of my Cadmium Red Light, dab it in the middle. You can use a smaller brush if you want, but that one's doing just fine. So I think that'll be it for that. I think I'm going to hit up my rose with a little bit of brighter pink. I'm going to use the white with my pinks, and I'm just going to pick a few of these spots on my petals here to kind of hit some high parts of the flower. Bring out the depth a little bit more on them. Nice. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on here with the white. Just going to hit the tips of these and pull them down in toward the center, but lift before I get all the way to the middle. So I'm just kind of highlighting the edges of the petals. Nice. Yeah, that's good. I tend to, this is my problem, I tend to want to put all of the colors everywhere. So, but I think it works better to have a little bit of space where this is like the blue area and this is the pink area. Instead of like having everything equally spread out. It kind of draws the eye around a little bit better. I'm trying to get better about that and like trying not to follow my instinct to put all the flowers everywhere every time. It's an ongoing battle that I consciously have to keep myself aware of as I'm painting flowers. It's just kind of something unique to me. I don't know if everybody does this, but paint all the flowers everywhere. I should make a t-shirt. So making that bright red out of the magenta and the cadmium yellow light, or red light, I mean, and painting in on top of that orange that I had before that had the white in it, so it kind of created a light barrier, if that makes sense, like a light background, so that when I put this brighter color on top now, it's going to stand out. Whereas it wasn't against the dark background. I have to have that light color underneath for the light to shine through in order for those colors to be more vibrant. That's just how it kind of works. Okay, so that looks good. I'm leaving a little bit of the lighter color peeking through here and there too. It doesn't have to be covered up completely. I like it. And then, in fact, I think I'm going to get the cadmium orange and some white and maybe even a little bit of yellow. If you add white to an orange or red, it'll kind of dull the color a little bit. So if you add yellow, it'll kind of punch it back up and brighten it up again. So, all right, going to add that to my centers. Just around the yellow part in the middle there. And then I might use a little bit of this just to kind of slightly highlight a few of these petals. I might need a little bit more orange, or a little bit more reddish, I mean. Just a few petals, kind of, so it's not just like a solid red. That looks good. Pretty happy with that. Let me get my bright yellow now, just like the cadmium yellow light in its thickest form here. And this should work because I've got yellow already down, so I'm just going to dab with the tip. And really get some good deep, like bright yellow. I'm gonna go outside my border here, so I get some like little spots happening. And then let me get some yellow and a little bit of cadmium yellow. The Indian Yellow Hue with my cadmium yellow light here, and I'm gonna use it on my golden daisies and go back over them again. Give them a second coat, and this time it should cover up nicely. And then in a couple of places I just want like a brighter yellow, so I'm gonna get some white. Woo, that had purple in it. There we go. And just pick a few petals that I want to like stand out. I'm having a hard time getting any clean white here. There we go. Nice. It's all about just kind of overlapping your colors, creating depth, creating depth in each color. Should have at least 3 values or tones of that color. Nothing should be just a solid color. Everything should have a dark, middle, and light value usually, and then also like sometimes a slightly off shade that complements it. So like with my yellows here, I've got my dark yellow, dark value has got the gold in it, which is another kind of hue of yellow. It's not quite the same bright yellow as the rest of the petals. So it's kind of creating doing 2 things at once for me here. Giving a little other color plus adding depth with the different value. And then going back in with my light white on top of my yellow. So I've got my gold, my base yellow, which had a little bit of white in it, and then the bright yellow. Rose, peony, all of them have that. They've got the dark, medium, and light values. That's what gives it depth. All right. Just talking. Just talking. You get it. You get it. Get a little bit of the Quinacridone burnt orange and my cadmium orange. I'm going to use that with my daisies in the centers. This will help kind of make those centers look a little bit better. Kind of separates out the petals from the center, going over the top of where the petals meet. And done it there. I can add a little bit on my dark ones if I need it. I think that's good. Oh, I didn't do these ones yet, so let's do these. I'm going to use a little bit of the cadmium orange that had a little bit of the white in it. Remember that we mixed before? So I'm going to use that. It's kind of a reddish orange for the centers of these.
I don't remember. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm sure you're talking to other people, not me.
And then get my yellow, and I'm just going to do it while it's wet here and hope for the best. See if I can get my yellow to stick in there. That's looking all right. Good. All right, that may be it, except for my delphiniums. So my delphiniums, when I put them on, they're kind of a mid to dark tone, so I just need to add a light tone. I've kind of got 2 tones. You can see I have like a little bit of medium and a darker, so I can add just a little bit of a highlight on those, get a little bit of that blue if I still have any over here, which I kind of do, I think. Add my white to it, and then just kind of come in here and highlight on top of some of those areas. It'll bring them out, give them a little bit of depth. Again, do this for any color. Surefire way of giving your paintings more depth. So even if you don't use the same colors as me, just, if you're changing up your colors, just use 3 versions of the same color, each color you do. Dark, medium, and light. And you can also add a little bit of a hue change to each one. So I could use a light pink here. Let's do that. Let's use a light pink here instead of my light white. I could do that in some of them. And that's pretty. It's going to add a nice little unexpected color. Works just as well as the light blue, so or I could use both. Find a color that works with your color story of that flower. This blue has some pink in it. Nice. Yeah, I like it. I think I want some stuff that's breaking free. If that makes sense. And I also want a little bit of a purpley blue for my purple blue areas here. So I'm going to get some of that and add that. A little bit of white to my ultramarine blue here and use that in my over the purple flowers that we added in here. Just a few of them. Okay. And I get my light color. I've got some of this green here. I'm going to add some white to it. I'm going to add a highlight to some of these leaves. And this is what I'm saying by like flyaways. I can kind of use this color. This is a nice kind of mid-tone green. I'm just going to kind of add some little, might be a little lighter. Just don't want to show up. Just create some movement around my painting. Gonna get the dark turquoise color here. Add that. That was the phthalo blue and phthalo green together. Use that with the lighter color there, just kind of adding some random greens coming out, kind of creating some movement around my painting and guiding the eye around. And then anywhere where I see that I have a little bit of my background peeking through, or kind of anything where I need another little dot of color here. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm probably going to stop there. I think I want a little bit more.
On the probably.
What?
Heavy emphasis on the probably.
Probably.
Don't bet anything on that.
Don't bet.
No.
Don't. You don't believe me?
After 629 videos, no.
Hey, you weren't here for all of them.
This is true.
You were only here for like 500 of them, so I might have done something different in the other ones.
Oh yeah, they were recorded and edited.
Yes, I took that part out. Okay, yeah, so just added a little bit brighter white to these so that they were a different value than my other pinks. So I've got kind of a darkish rose, and then these three are kind of similar, and then so I wanted these to be a little bit different. I like it. I think that works. I'm going to stop there and call that a day. Yeah, that was fun. Let me sign it, and you can take questions while we're... Let me see if... Did I splatter with my other one? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I'm going to splatter a little bit with this one too. Go ahead.
All right. Since we don't have an official side cam set up, we'll just do the bell. We had a super chat donation earlier from Cindy.
Oh,
There was no special message attached to it, but thank you so much, Cindy. We appreciate it. It was awesome.
thank you, Cindy.
Yes.
Very much.
Any questions?
All right.
The first question is from Gary.
Okay.
and wants to know what is the difference between an angle brush and an angle shader brush.
Ooh. I don't know. It probably is the manufacturer has, has a different names. Yeah. I don't honestly know. One might be, this one's called an angle bright and this one's an angle shader, but they both are fairly, similar as far as the cut. Maybe the shader or the bright's a little bit, the shader may be a little shorter, looks like maybe, than the bright. Usually the bright is short versus a regular angle. Like a flat is longer than a bright. So I'm surprised to see that the bright is shorter than the shader. So maybe the shader is a little shorter. I honestly don't know. It's a good question. I'll have to look that up and see if there's a reason for the name to be different, or if it's just the manufacturer's choice. I'm sure there's probably a reason, but I don't know what it is. You stumped me. 10 points for Gary, is it?
Yes. All right, we'll give him an extra point. Then the next question is...
I'm getting some white out here. I want to put some white in my delphiniums. Yep.
Is there a difference in putting paint on a gray palette instead of a white palette?
Yeah, the gray palette lets you see your values better. It's just going to give you a boost. It's much harder to see how dark and light you're mixing your colors. So you're starting, instead of starting with this, you're starting with this. And so more neutral, so you can see your full value of color mixes better. You can see your darks are darker and your lights are lighter than it. So it kind of, it's like you can tell what you're doing a little bit easier.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Our friend Mary wants to know, how did you practice being so steady with your lines?
I painted on wood crafts for years, and I painted the same things over and over and over until I burned out and literally didn't paint for 2 years. I literally, if I would paint one thing, I would paint 12 of them. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing the same brush strokes over and over and over again. And that will get you good real fast.
Hundreds and thousands of times.
Yes.
Literally.
Hundreds of times over and over and over again.
Literally.
Yeah. So practice. That's what I would do. Just practice. Practice on paper. Get yourself some paper, and you don't have to be doing anything fancy with it. Just practice on paper. And there are a couple things that I can show you. So let me do that real quick. Let me move this out of the way. I'm gonna get out my. This was from my Instagram brush demonstration. If you missed that, you might check that out. Oops, my last page. Okay, so I'll do it on the back of that. So for liner brushes, there's two things you want to do. There's one is, if I can find my liner brushes. Oh no, that's not what I want. Okay, so there's two, and no, that's not the one I want. There we go. So we've got a regular liner, a script liner, and a short liner. And I'll start them this way. So the regular liner and the script liner are fairly similar as in the length. The script liner tends to be longer. Oh my goodness, I did not clean out my brush. You see that stray hair right there? That means that I didn't clean out my liner brush, and some paint got trapped down in here, so I ruined that brush. Yay. But your script liner tends to be the one that I would use for longest lines, and you will want to use a fluid paint for your liner brush. So you always want to have a fluid paint when you're using a liner brush. When you think about it, you can't push anything thick with a super flexible, long, thin anything. So you're not going to, pick up a straw to try to shovel out some dirt or something. You know, you've got to have fluid paint for the paint to flow off your brush. And the script liner should, if you've got a good one, this one is the VelvetTouch line. I really like these because they're flexible, but they have a good snap. So I can do a curly line and it won't snap out on me. If I have a bad brush, quote unquote, what'll happen is when I get around this corner here, sometimes, or if the brush is too stiff or my paint's not wet enough or something, it'll snap out on me and do like that instead of bending around that corner. And another factor when you're painting with the liner brush is to make sure that you're holding your brush. I like to hold it like a pen, just like I would with my finger resting on the silver ferrule, so that when I turn it like this, the tip is going to barely touch. So I'm holding it perpendicular to the page so that the only part of the brush that is touching is... Are you going to do it that way?
Try it,
okay.
yeah.
The only part that is touching is the very tip, and I'm holding my brush, my wrist at an angle so that I'm always keeping the tip right up underneath where I'm trying to go. And if I keep, I'm moving my whole hand. I'm not even moving my fingers at all. I can keep that same distance, and I'm using this finger here to keep my distance. So it's kind of like almost like a ruler. It's holding my brush at the same distance, and I'm resting it on the page. It's never going to go any deeper unless I press down on my brush. And I can get a thicker line by pressing down and then pulling up. Like that. Okay. And another thing is to make sure that you do have free motion of your arm, so that when I'm doing this, sometimes especially if I want a long line that's going off the page this way, I will make sure that I can move my hand really freely, easily. If I've got it really tight to myself, or if I'm trying to do a line towards myself and I can't move my arm, I'm going to end up pushing my brush. So let me show you the difference. So I will do a long line this way, and I can go as long as I want all the way across really nicely. It's nice and smooth. But if I'm trying to pull it towards myself and I don't have room to do it, once I get to where I can't move my hand anymore or can't move my arm anymore, I'm going to get wiggly right here at the end. I'm sorry, I was kind of, but basically what you're going to end up having to do if you're pulling it towards yourself, I'm still kind of using my finger to guide myself. But if I can't move my arm, or if my body's in the way, or something is in the way blocking my hand being able to move, I won't be able to get a smooth enough line. So I tend to like to move my painting or whatever so that I can do it left to right. I just find that it's easier for me to get a longer, smoother line. You can see the difference between my lines here. The one that I did the first time when I was going right to left is a lot smoother than these two that I was pulling down towards myself. So hopefully that helps. And then the other thing is, like, if you have trouble with the script liner, you can use a short liner. The short liner will be a little bit shorter, obviously, and sometimes easier to control for people because you're not having to hold their hand up so much. This one is also wasn't cleaned out well. But you're going to have to reload often. Like I probably don't think I could get this full line with this. Yeah, you're going to you're going to lose it about halfway through. So if you're doing long lines, you don't want to reload as often, try practicing with the script liner, or the liner brush would work just as well as the script liner was in this case, because it's basically the same, looks like about the same thickness and at this almost the same length. All right.
Good job.
Thanks.
Ready for another question?
Yes.
Someone wants to know, what is the difference between slow drying blending medium and a glazing liquid?
Gamazing liquid, you mean?
But I think she meant glazing.
I'm joking. I like that name. It's
glamorous
amazing.
and amazing.
It's exactly. I like it. Slow drying blending medium. And okay, so a lot of the slow drying mediums are going to be limit how much you can add to your paint, because they're a lot of times going to be adding like something like glycerin or something that's going to slow down the increase the flow, slow down the drying time of your paints, extenders, any of that kind of thing. Anything that's slowing down the drying tend to be can be kind of slick, so they can add a little slickness to your paint, glossiness, or like not glossiness, but yeah, they just kind of feel oily, I guess, is the feeling that I get when I use them. So I don't tend to like the slow drying stuff just personally. I don't like how they make my paints feel. And also you have to be careful of the ratio that you're adding to your paints. So that's why I like to use the gloss glazing liquid that I use, which I didn't end up using today. But it has the slow dry extender in it already mixed into the glaze, and you can add as much of it as you want. You don't have to worry about how much you're adding to your paint in ratio, and so that's for me better. Just I don't like to have to worry about how much have I added, is this too much, because then you can have adhesion issues, or your paint can just get a little slick if you add too much of certain slow dry mediums. I do have this one, let me see. This one's an acrylic retarder. Let me see if it says on here. Mix retarder directly into acrylic paints. So this one doesn't have a limit on it. Usually may be safely used in ratios up to 30% by volume. Yeah, so that's usually like with these extenders and things that you'll find you can only add them up to a certain amount of them with your paints. Otherwise they'll kind of do weird things. So that's the only difference really. And I don't really know what difference it is with like the actual ingredients, what's in them, what they're made out of. But I just know that I prefer some of them more than others just because of that. I don't like to have to worry about how much I'm adding. So if you're buying them, just look at that as your couple of really, really bright highlights there. Look at that on the bottle, when you're buying it, and see what it says. See if it's saying only per 30%. I had to look for it on that one. I thought it was, and then I still had to look for it, and it still was kind of in the fine print, like, oh, by the way, don't use too much of this or it'll mess you up. So, and that's it. All right.
Just remind everybody here at the end, we talked about it earlier, but over there on patreon.com, right now at the $10 level, you get access to over 70 videos.
Yeah, let me show
That's pretty awesome.
I don't know if I can even get it on camera. I don't think I can. Here, we'll just do the $10 level. This is what we're working on. We're doing one more of these. Da, da, da. Da, da. It's like ginormous. Hitting the microphone. It's Mr. Fitzpickle on a ginormous 24 by 24 canvas. Zoom out as much as you can.
Hold it up over here.
Oh. Okay.
Put it right there. You go. Just like that. There it is.
Yeah. So, and there's my hand for comparison size. It's big. So we're working on big canvases on 24 by 24 canvases. That's about as big as I could get on my tabletop easel and still get it under the camera without completely changing my camera setup. So that's why we're doing it on that. But anyhow, yeah, it's been super fun. That went together in 2 weeks. We got that done. And so we're doing another one. We're going to do another dog. We got 2 more weeks in the month to finish up that series. I usually do a challenge video on Thursdays for my $10 level patrons. And so that's what we decided to work on. I decided because my groomer is needing art for her. The dog, Fitzpickle's dog groomer, who he absolutely loves, Miss Louisa. So we are working how to exchange, bartering some services here. I'm all about a barter. Mm-hmm. It's been a while. I used to do it all the time when I did craft fairs. And, get lots of free art bartering. So half the art in our house is bartered. So yeah, that'll be that. And then we already finished our $5 level video for this month, but we'll be doing another one next month. And it includes all of the previous videos that are recorded. So there's several, like Mark said, several years worth of old content, and we do a new one every month. So really, really fun. So I hope you guys join us for that. If you're interested in more than, what we've got on YouTube, we got tons of free resources on YouTube. So, but if you're kind of wanting to take it to the next level and learn some other things that I don't necessarily go over or have time for on YouTube, then you can join us for those videos. A little bit longer, a little bit more in depth.
Yep.
All right.
Be back on next Tuesday for the rooster.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the rooster.
And right here on YouTube.
Huh?
Right here on YouTube.
Yep. Lots of fun stuff. So hope you guys join us for that. We really appreciate you stopping by live. I know there's lots of things to be doing, especially this time of year with the weather starting to get nice in our area. It's kind of hard to even, and I'm doing it, and I like painting. It's hard to stop what I'm doing and paint, but we appreciate those of you who stop by and watch us live and hang out with us during our videos. It makes a lot of difference.
Very fun. Yeah.
And share our videos and all that kind of thing too. So you guys are awesome. Appreciate you. And I'm gonna just kind of brightening up this gold here just a little bit, making a little bit more bright gold and a little bit brighter yellows. I just noticed that once I got the flowers done, I realized the vase was a little bit muted, so I'm just adding a little bit of white, kind of dry brushing in some of my white areas here to add a little bit more brightness back into some of these areas, and then same thing on my gold part of my teapot. But yeah, this one turned out really fun. I hope you guys liked it.
Amazing.
Thanks, hon. I pay him to say that. Gamazing. Oh yeah, gamazing. All right. Hope you guys have a gamazing day. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.